Chitta was always this personification of love for me. When I used to think of Chitta, I would always associate her with just so much of love, and I'm sure a lot of the family can attest to that. Every time you meet Chitta, you would never leave that place feeling unloved or ignored or lonely. She would always make it a point to make sure you're pampered, you're special, and you're just treated like you're the king or the queen of the world. I remember so many memories of me casually mentioning to Chitta that I like something and waking up to an entire pot of whatever it is the next day. She would never fail to make me feel loved, especially when we go visit her during summer vacations. Be it my wins of having a pet cat, that she actually sent two people to find me 2-3 stray cats so that I can fulfill my desire of owning a cat for about half a month, to making sure that there is like an array of dishes whenever we come to visit, because we always had space for more food. According to Chitta, she always felt we needed to eat more and needed to do so much more. And that was Chitta. That was not just with us, her grandkids, but her siblings, their kids, even my friends who would come and visit Chitta. She was the same. She was always smiling, always ready to whip up a feast, and I think that's how she showed her love to all of us. The amazing, that was what was so amazing about Chitta. She loved well, and she knew how to love so well that I often look back and wonder what I can learn from her life, and what I can take back from her life. And even as I was thinking about that, the one thing I wish that I do even half of Chitta is how much she's prayed for each and every one of us, be it her children, her grandchildren. Chitta was a woman of prayer. She never stopped. She never, just like the Bible said, she never stopped praying, be it hail or storm or sickness or health. I would always remember Chitta ready to pray, ready to worship. Every time we'd go for vacation, she'd speak to me about the importance of prayer. Every time my friends would come over, she would talk to them about who Jesus is and why she's so madly in love with Jesus, and why they should be in love with Jesus. And I used to always be in awe of how Chitta was so unabashedly in love with God. And I just hope and pray that today, wherever Chitta is, I hope she sees how much her prayers have transformed the lives of the people around her. Because I know for a fact that my life is what it is because of so much of Chitta's prayers. I know that so many of our lives have been impacted just because she never gave up on us. And I just hope that wherever you are, Chitta, that you would see what you've done and how you've changed our lives for the better, just by staying faithful to what God had asked of you. And I'm so grateful for you, Chitta. I'm so grateful for the life you've lived and the example you've set. These are some big shoes to fill as your grandchildren, as your children, as people who know you, to be a light for the next generation. And I hope, Chitta, that wherever you are, you would be proud of all that you've left behind, and remember that we will always love you, Chitta, and we will always remember you for who you are and what you've done in our lives.
My earliest memory of Chitta was how she used to always save me from the disciplinary actions of my parents, or she used to always give importance to every small thing every small thing I needed, even as a child, even if it meant, not wearing a lacy dress because it was irritating and the net poked me, or the net irritated my skin. She used to actively voice out that I didn't like it, even though in my small toddler voice no one was hearing me and no one was understanding, or no one was giving any importance to what I said. She would always give me importance. Then I also feel like the religious side of me, or the spiritual side of me, has definitely had a lot of effect from Chutta, because even when I spend time there during holidays, she would fill my head with stories from the Bible and about how miracles happened in her life, and she used to tell me her life story and the testimonies and the things that happened in her life, which made me very curious about spirituality and Jesus. And because of that, I think I was always keen to go and learn the Bible more, or ask questions, just like how I used to with her. Because I remember at the end of her story sessions, I'd always just sleep with her or hug her, and then I'd be like asking, even if it was the silliest of questions, and she'd be just answering my questions for me. And then I also remember, this was earlier during childhood, and I also remember when I grew up and I was studying for entrance coaching in Pala. Whenever I used to come back home to Malapalli during vacations or holidays, she used to always cook a ton of things for me to take back. So every time I went back to hostel, my friends they knew from day zero, they knew it was Chutta's food coming, and every holiday without fail, we all used to gather in our toothpick sized room and eat like the amazing food she would have cooked for us, and that used to carry on into the night, because she would have made she would have made so many different things. She would have made appam, and she would have made like a beef curry or a chicken curry and something else, and even she would even send dessert like alua and chakke alua and all of those things. So yeah, I really remember her spoiling me like that, because all of my friends used to gather together in the hostel room, and they used to tell me, oh, Anju's here, her Chutta must have given her food, let's go. And that used to be our thing back in the hostel. So yeah, and I really hope Chutta got to meet Jesus finally, and I hope she is with Jesus finally. I mean, she has been working for Jesus her entire life. Her entire life has been like doing his work. So I really hope that she's at peace and she is looking down from heaven and smiling at her legacy down here. Yeah.
കുഞ്ഞോളാൻറ്റി എന്ന് എല്ലാവരും വിളിക്കുന്ന ചിച്ച എൻ്റെ മൂത്ത സഹോദരിയാണ്. ഞങ്ങൾ 10 സഹോദരങ്ങളാണ്. അതിൽ ഏറ്റവും ഇളയ ആളാണ് ഞാൻ. ചിച്ചായെപ്പറ്റി ഓർക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒത്തിരി നല്ല ഓർമ്മകൾ എൻ്റെ മനസ്സിലേക്ക് ഓടി വരുന്നു. എന്നെ ഹൃദയപൂർവ്വം സ്നേഹിക്കുകയും കരുതുകയും ചെയ്ത് ഈ സമയത്ത് ഞാൻ സ്മരിക്കുന്നു. ഒരമ്മയുടെ സ്ഥാനത്ത് നിന്ന് എന്നെ എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും ചെയ്തു തന്നത് ചിച്ച ആണ്. കൂടാതെ യേശുവിൻ്റെ സ്നേഹത്തിലേക്ക് നയിച്ചതും ചിച്ച ആണ്. നിത്യതയിൽ കാണാമെന്നുള്ള പ്രത്യാശയോടെ നിർത്തുന്നു.
Amma Chutta, the one person that always used to smile, the one person that always used to greet us with so much happiness. She used to always love everyone around her, no matter where they were from or if she knew them or not. I always remembered that she used to make whatever I desired or whatever I wanted to eat. She would always keep it ready, and like the very next day. And it wouldn't be a small portion, it would be this large quantities, and she would make so much for the next 1-2 weeks. And I just always used to love her so much. She was the one who gave me my pet name Timothy, and she was the only one who used to call me by that name. And I used to love it because it felt so special. And every now and then, if I ever felt low, and if I ever was feeling down, and if I were talking to Chuta on the call, she would always say that and tell me that she's praying for me, and that she knows that God knows my plan, God knows my future. And she would always tell me not to worry, and she would just sit there and pray for me. And that made me feel much better and much more secure. I miss the times when I used to take oil and go and sit with Chuta, and she used to give the best head massages one could possibly ask for. And it used to be so relaxing that I would just sleep in her lap. And every now and then I remember me just going where she was sitting, and I just used to hug her arm and just lie down and sleep on that arm because it was so soft, and it just felt like a pillow every single time. Chita, I know you're happy where you are right now, and I know you're looking down on all of us, and I know that you're still praying for us. And I always used to remember that one line that you used to always tell me, Mone, are you happy, Mone? And then I used to always say, yeah, Chuta, I'm happy. I hope you're happy too, Chuta, and I hope you finally met Jesus and be happy.
As to recall my memories of Amachita, she was always there for me. She was a figure that was always present in my life. When speaking in terms of grandparents, she always taught me how to be a very loving person. I guess to some aspect of her personality and character, I saw how Amachita and Amma were acting between each other, how they were speaking, how their interactions were, how loving they were, taking care of other people, and the joy and the kindness that they spread. I believe it rubbed off of me from a very young age, and it helped me to grow as a person. It helped me to help other people in my life, in the time and in the era that we are living in. Before this house was constructed, in the house that you currently remember, we had the old section of the house. So that was usually Amachita's room. That was where she slept, that was where she did everything. Early in the mornings when we used to go there for vacations, around 4:35 in the morning, Amachita used to go brush her teeth, come back, sit comfortably on her chair, and she used to get her Pond's cream and her Pond's powder. She used to put it all over her beautiful little face, and she used to sit there ready to listen to the sermon of the day. So she used to switch on her radio and listen to the first thing that pops up. So she used to meditate, she used to have a shawl on her head, she used to pray. Around that time, 5:30 in the morning, Amma would now wake up, and she would make her way to the bed and sit with Amachita, talk to her, spend time with her. around 7 or 8, now that is when I would wake up and I would see Amrita still sitting there, you know, sermon is all done, and she used to sit there, comb her hair, and wait for us to wake up. I used to make my way to the bed, and I used to just fall on her and go to sleep, you know. She was so kind, and we had the most amazing laughs. We used to laugh about everything and everything. I used to tease her so much, and she used to tease me back as well. And the most funny thing was that whenever she knew that we were coming, she used to drag her chair all the way from her room. She used to make her way to the porch where everyone could come. She used to sit there waiting for us to arrive. And we just loved meeting her. We loved talking to her. We loved seeing her. One of the aspects why I really loved coming back to India was to meet her. Was the joy that, oh, I would get to see Amrita, I would get to spend time with her and talk to her. She taught me a lot. She taught me a lot as a person. She instructed me and my mother. She guided us both. I believe that we were all very fortunate to have her as my grandmother, and for my mother, I think she was very fortunate to have her as a mother. I'm so grateful for her life. I always thank God every single day that she was alive, and her death is not actually the end of anything. If anything, it is the beginning of her legacy. That we would speak about her, we would keep her in our thoughts and in our hearts, because if she had not been the woman she was, I would not be here, sitting here and speaking about my grandmother the way I am today. I know for a fact that who my grandmother was will always be passed down to my generation, and every single thing that she has taught me would also be passed on. I don't think I'll ever forget her. Of course, there is the physical aspect that I definitely would miss about her. That I won't maybe hear her calling my name, or I won't get to see her sitting on that chair like how she usually does. But I believe that when God calls a person home, it is the right time to go home. Yeah, so I love her so much, and I'm not going to be too sad because I know that one day I will also meet her in heaven when we all go there. So I'm sure that she's waiting for us too, and I look forward to the day that we will meet her and we will spend good time with her again. I thank you so much for listening. I hope that God takes us through this time as patiently, as calmly as we all can, and to comfort in the fact that Jesus Christ is there with us, and He always provides, He always takes care of us, and that at the end of the day, God's will should be done. I thank you so much.
One of the first things I remember about Amma is when we got married, and it was December 1991 when we got married. One of the first things she told me was, you have to try and become the Proverbs 31 woman. I remember at that time thinking, not the Proverbs 31 woman, it's not going to be easy. But as I watched her life, I felt that she actually did do a lot of the stuff. You know, she was a person who tried to become the Proverbs 31 woman. I remember Amma saying that when Papa died, she said she cried and cried for the longest time. But then one day, God gave her the verse from Isaiah 54, In that, she said, the verse is, "Do not be afraid. You will not suffer shame. You will not fear disgrace. You will not be humiliated. You will forget the shame of your youth and remember no more the reproach of your widowhood. For your Maker is your husband. The Lord Almighty is his name. The Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer. He is called the God of all the earth." And she said as soon as she heard that, she stopped crying. And that was the last time she cried. She said, whenever I think of her, I realize the verse that from Proverbs 31, which said, "Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the reward she has earned, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate." This was about a couple of days back when I woke up from my sleep. I saw an image. God gave me a vision of Amma. She was in her white sari. She looked beautiful and calm, and she was floating in the air, in her white sari. And I immediately knew that God was getting ready to take her home. And I just realized that she's ready. She's ready to get the reward of all the things that she had done. And I'm just happy to have known her.
One of my strongest memories of Chitha is that whenever we talked to her or called her, she would tell us how she's been praying for us, that every day she comes before God and prays for us, that our safety, our education, our careers, our walk with God would be strong. And so I was just always so blessed to know that I had a grandmother who was constantly bringing us before God, and just to know that she was thinking of us and that she was coming before God on our behalf. And we were just so blessed to have a godly grandmother who loved us and loved the Lord and was always encouraging us and drawing us closer to him and his presence.
One of my fondest memories of Chitha was when we were younger, and we were in her house, and I had paisam for the first time. She made it, and I loved it so much. I was addicted to it. And the minute she saw how much I loved it, she would make it for me every day whenever I wanted it, because she loved to see us happy. And I just remember feeling so loved every second around her. A few verses that I thought would be comforting at this time. John 14, verse 1. "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God, trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I'm going there to prepare a place for you. If I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you may also be where I am. You know the way to the place I am going." 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 13. "We do not want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep, or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. We believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him."
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun forbear to shine.